Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Michal. I'm a marketing manager in Software AG. In the next 30 minutes, we will discuss the growing pressure many organizations are seeing on their IBM Z environments. Demand is increasing, batch windows are getting tighter. Business teams expect more speed, more capacity, and more room to grow, while at the same time, the core systems must continue to run with the same reliability and confidence. Today, we will show you a practical way to address these challenges, and we will demonstrate how JOPAZ helps organizations reduce general processor workloads from COBOL batch processing by over 80%. All that without rewriting COBOL code and without changing the applications your business depends on. During the webinar, please write your questions in the Q&A section. We will address all of them at the end of the presentation. I am pleased to welcome our speakers, Verena van der Lind, JOPAZ Product Manager, and Oliver Spies, Pre-sale Consultant, who will walk us through the business challenges, the technology behind JOPAZ, and what this means in real customer environments. Let's get started.
Thank you, Michal, and welcome also from my side. So as you said, let's get started with the webinar. And I would like to start that I think for all of us being here today in this webinar, there's probably two things that we have in common. And that is on the one hand that we understand and value the benefits of the Mainframe platform. And on the other, it is also that at the same time, we see that there is also challenges that it brings. And because we believe that you do not have to accept a trade-off between a reliable platform and a future-ready business, today we would like to really show you an approach to regain capacity to do more. And for that, let me first have a look kind of into the reasons why the platform continues to be a good choice for many enterprises. And for that, I bring here today a couple of data points from the IBM Institute of Business Value that I think are worth holding on to. The first one is that 75% of global IT executives say that mainframes match or even outperform the cloud on total cost of ownership. And that cuts directly against the assumption that cloud is always cheaper, but it also underlines the long-term value of the platform. And secondly, the security and resilience of the platform stays unmatched with an average of just 350 milliseconds of downtime per year. And that is, of course, a level that no other platform can claim today. Third, we have the 79% of executives that say that the mainframe is critical for AI-driven innovation. And that is because it is where the data and the transactions live. And last but not least, we have 88% saying that modernizing mainframe applications to allow further integration is essential also for long-term success. So what you can see from these 4 bullet points already is that it is showing a bit of a challenge because it shows 2 different sides. And that brings me also to the second point that I think we need to highlight as an introduction to this webinar today. And that is the challenges that many companies also face when they want to bring their platforms into the future. And underpinning everything is the requirement for critical business continuity. Because whether it is not changing anything at all or modernizing in whatever way, it always needs to be certain that this is not coming at the expense of the operations these systems run today. And I think this is really probably the most crucial part of it and the biggest challenge at the same time. Then there is data accessibility, Because today, when data is so immensely important to the business and also to strategic initiatives, it presents a real challenge that the critical data is oftentimes siloed in databases or hard to reach for modern analytics and AI. And then another challenge is the capacity constraints, because with new demands and also with new technological possibilities, these workloads on IDMC are growing, and oftentimes they are growing against finite general processor capacity. And then last but not least, the challenge that basically is also addressing everyone at this current market state is the total cost of ownership, because it is also a challenge that keeps this topic of mainframe optimization, modernization on the CIO's desks. So all in all, this brings up the question, how do we unlock more value from IDMC? And for us, modernization is not a binary choice between the rip and replace and freeze and decline. So we see really a third path to it. And we want to show you today what that looks like. Our product JOPAZ, it unlocks value along 4 lines that basically build on each other. And those I would like to address now. The first one is that we help to control capacity. We recompile COBOL Batch workloads to Java classes in order to then execute them on a Java virtual machine and to redistribute from the general processor to SIP processors. And this makes room for new and latent workloads, and it maximizes the ROI of the machine that you're already owning. Second, JOPAZ helps to also reduce bottlenecks because you have freed up the GP headroom. You can get more consistent SLAs, more stable batch execution, or even shorter batch windows. And then third, the approach that we're taking also prevents disruption. And this is really a point that I would like to underline today, because there is no rewrites necessary. You keep the data and your business logic as it is, and you do not need to migrate off the platform. And that means that the thing that always represents a biggest challenge and is very scary in terms of this change, we take off the table. And then the fourth part is modernizing in place, because with the capacity and the potential developer time that you have freed up, you can now build on new initiatives, new innovations, and build out the application landscape. So in a nutshell, what we're doing is we reclaim capacity, we retain your trusted COBOL applications, and we scale for growth. And we do that all on the IDMC that you already own. And now, looking into 3 principles that are core to the product JOPAZ, before we actually dive into the details, is that I would like to highlight the non-invasive part of the product, because in the end, it is very important to reduce the risk to stay non-invasive. And that's what we're doing with the approach, as we keep the COBOL source code as it is and we do not change it. Secondly, JOPAZ maintains the same functional behavior as your COBOL does. That means you also continue developing in COBOL and maintaining your code in COBOL. And then with that change that we're doing, we still achieve a reduction of the COBOL Batch GP usage with an average of 80%. So that's the 3 principles that I think you need to keep in mind for what the product is about. And now we can go a little bit further into the details on how that actually works. And for that, Oliver, I will hand over to you.
Thank you, Verena, for the introduction. We will have now take a closer look onto the architecture of JOPAZ. So we see here an IBM set machine. And on the IBM set machine, we see 3 applications running on it. So typically we have in an environment batch and online applications, for example, running under 6. And we see here 3 applications: a core banking application, a payment processing application, and a trading application. And every application is written in COBOL on CentOS. And we are also using some 3L routines. We have sort, we have print, and usually these applications are using databases. So we can use, for example, a DB2. Some of you will have VSAM files, and other of you will have, for example, our ADABAS in production. And as you can see, everything is running on the general processor on the mainframe. So the next slide, please. And now, how can we bring the application to the SIP processor? So therefore, we first have to recompile the application. So we have a cross-compiler, and with this cross-compiling job, we bring the application, in our case, the core banking application, on the right side to the SIP processor. We recompile it and we produce Java bytecode. We use it because IBM does not allow running COBOL applications directly on a SIP processor, but they allow using Java bytecode. This is our approach, using Java bytecode, which runs on the SIP processor. And this bytecode is running on our JOPAZ runtime, which you can see here in the middle. And this runtime is able to access also our databases and the VSAM files, which are already on the left side. And everything is using a Java virtual machine. We are using the standard Java virtual machine from IBM. And that's the whole story behind it. You do not need to recompile everything. So you can start using your biggest batch programs with the highest consumption of processor capacity, and then bring step after step, one after one program on the right side. So let's have a look how everything works together. So please go to the next slide. Yeah, we have here a customer story from a banking business, and they have an environment with approximately 900 MSUs. They're running on an IBM Z16 machine with 5 SIP processors. And the challenge was to optimize their hardware capacity and containing the costs. And as you can see, with JOPAZ, they were able to save and free up 80.6% of batch CPUs. And this is a really good result and a huge amount of cost savings. So the benefits of this project was that they optimized the CPU usage, that they could increase their processing speed in some cases, and that it was very easy acceptance by the COBOL developers because no COBOL changes have to be done. So after talking a lot of theory, we now should look into the details of JOPAZ, and we now will see how JOPAZ will run. So therefore, I will share my screen. So what you see here is the IBM developer for CentOS, which I'm using here for the demo. And we see on the left side the different sources that we have here on the Z machine. And first, we will have a look at the compile job. So it's very easy. We provide you a template for the compiling. And all you have to do is to set here the name of the COBOL program that you want to recompile. In our example here, I will recompile a Hello World COBOL program, and we will also have a look at it in a few seconds. So, but just look what we have here in this compile job. As you can see, we have here different options which specifies the environment. For example, here I describe where the JOPAZ job will find the source files. And also you have the possibility to set here some trace levels. You see here this log level option where we can get more output when we compile. And if we need some more output, we can set here the trace option. So now let's start the job. I just have to submit the job to the machine. And now we look into the output of the job. And first we look at the error output and we say, oh, wonderful. The compiling results were fine, so no errors. And which means everything has worked as defined. And if we look in the output of the job, we see that we have compiled here our file hello. Then we have here different compiler options used in this job. And we see here the source of the COBOL program. And at the end, again, that we have no errors here in the job. So the question is now, where can we see what happened in the background? And you see it on the Unix system services on the Z machine. So I'm here now on the Unix system services, and as you can see, I've made here an ls-l, and this output is from the morning. You see, I had a class file provided by the compiler. It was from 8 o'clock. And if we now again make a ls-l, we should see an update. And yes, as you can see, the output was updated on 10/16. We have now a fresh hello.class. Now look at the COBOL sources. It's a really simple program. It's really only a hello world program. As you can see, all we do here is displaying welcome JOPAZ user. And now let's look how this will run on JOPAZ. For this, we have again a template. We are using here this JPZ exec template. It's nearly the same as the compile job. So all you have to do here is to set again the class that you want to run. In our case, the Hello World program. I will start it now. And again, we look at the output of the job. So first we look in the print. And this is a statistic that we deliver with JOPAZ to you. And this statistic shows how many percentage of the program is running on zip and how many on the general processor. So as you can see, we have here in this line 57% running on zip machine, and here 42% running on the GP. We will say, okay, it's only 57%. What about the 80%, which I have told you in my slides before? The reason is this is a very small and very little program with very minor running time, and therefore we have a little bit of overhead. So if you have longer running jobs, so for example 1 or 2 minutes running on the mainframe, then you will see then we will come into the range of the 80%. So that is important to know. But as I mentioned, when you have bigger jobs, we will get very good results. So Then we will have a look in the output. And here is our our print statement that we had in the COBOL job, welcome JOPAZ user. And the last one is, we have a look in the sysout. And here you can see that Java runtime is called here in the background. We are using here version 1.8. And we are invoking then the hello main program. And after the program has ended, the virtual machine completed with system exit null, and everything has run fine. So we see everything works, and it's quite easy to compile and run JOPAZ. So that's from the practical part of the presentation. And now we will go back and we can answer some questions. Could you share, please,
yes.
slides?
And here we go.
Great. So, Verena and Oliver, thank you so much for the practical session. And now for the first question, please. Oliver, I would address it to you. So, what are the advantages of using JOPAZ compared to traditional COBOL migration projects?
Yes. The main difference is that there's no risk involved in using JOPAZ. Because traditional migration projects carry a high level of risks. They have long project durations, they have high costs and efforts, and they have also some technology hurdles, which often led to project failures. So with JOPAZ, however, you can migrate batch programs step by step, as I mentioned before, though there's no big bang project. And yeah, you start usually with the programs with the highest workload, because these programs have the biggest potential for optimization. And after this, you can bring the rest of the programs to JOPAZ. And you should ever have in mind, even if a problem should arise, you always have your original programs as a fallback solution, because the COBOL programs are continued to be developed and maintained by your developers. So any changes made by your developers on the COBOL side will only need a recompile on the JOPAZ side. So as I said, no risk. The developers have not to learn new skills. They will develop and maintain their COBOL programs, and changes have only be made by recompiling the JOPAZ compiler. That's all.
Thank you, Oliver. Next question I would address to you, Verena. So, which COBOL batch workloads consume the most general processor capacity, and how much business value could be created by making them more efficient?
So that depends on the environment of the customer. So a typical question, but yes, it is the point where we're, of course, mainly looking for what's the workloads that create the peaks in the environment of the customer. Because when we address those first, that's why Oliver also mentioned that in his presentation, that of course gives us the biggest potential and value there to create for the customer. But to be very specific and find out more also in terms of what individual value the customers can achieve, that is why we also do POVs before we go into an implementation and rollout of the product, so that we can show that value, and we can also get numbers in terms of the percentage that we can achieve to reduce for each customer environment.
Thank you. The next question, please. Big users of PL1. Any chance JOPAZ can do PL1 one day?
At the moment, not. We are supporting at the moment only COBOL Batch. So pure COBOL Batch, we are supporting no 6, no IMS, and only not PL1. But maybe in the future, yes, we have a lot of demand for this. But in the near future, we will support 6. This is our next big point on the roadmap.
Thank you, Oliver. Another question. What if the Java bans? How can we map the offset back to the COBOL source?
Yes, we have an output there in case of error. So you will directly see the cause of the error, whether the program has stopped. And we have also the possibility to debug the program. So I have today no time or no chance to show it to you. But this is also a very cool feature. You can debug it remotely. We are Eclipse on your Windows PC, and we connect to the mainframe, and then you can see directly where your program will stop and which error causes the event. Yeah.
Thank you, Oliver. And to the next question. How important it is to improve mainframe efficiency without rewriting COBOL code or changing trusted application?
So I will take that. I think it's very important because clearly I think that was the starting of the webinar, is where we can see that there's new possibilities, new technologies, and that increases the demands for the business or from the business towards IT. So it is important to build room to address that, and it is needed to be on an approach when doing that does not put the operations at risk. And that is basically what we were trying to show today, why it's important and what needs to be considered when being on that journey.
Thank you. And let's take the last question, please. What would be the business impact of reclaiming significant capacity?
I think, yeah, very simple. There's different paths you can, as I just mentioned, implement new initiatives. You can improve your service levels and also improve cost efficiency. That always depends on what the business really needs and what the company objectives are, where you want to focus on when you have gone that way and you've freed up your and reclaimed your capacity, on how you want to translate that into your business value. So there's different possibilities depending on what you need.
Thank you, Verena. And I see we have another question, last one. When it comes to COBOL compiler upgrades, like lifecycle management provided by IBM,
Yes.
Does JOPAZ take this COBOL version upgrades out of the picture of these programs and still need to be upgraded to the last COBOL version?
So yes, at the moment we're supporting every COBOL version beginning from COBOL version 4 from IBM. And yeah, we are not directly using the COBOL compiler. We are only using the COBOL program code. So there are usually only minor changes in the COBOL code itself. So for us, it's no problem to update this in our JOPAZ compiler.
Great. So with that, thank you, Verena and Oliver, for the clear and practical session. The key message is simple. If mainframe workload growth is putting pressure on your mainframe capacity, you do not need to accept upgrading general processing demand as the only path forward. With JOPAZ, you can create more room to grow, improve batch performance, and protect business continuity without rewriting COBOL code. We will be happy to discuss your environment, your workload challenges, and whether JOPAZ could be relevant for your organization. For more information, you're welcome to reach out directly to me. And the recording of the webinar will be shared with you soon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, we have just one slide before we stop here.
Okay.
It's coming. Here we go.
Coming. Yes, because we want to give you the chance to see what the next, or what could be the next steps with JOPAZ. So, as I mentioned before, today you see only a very short impression of JOPAZ in action. So, if you have time and want to see it a little bit more deeper, because we have also demos with DB2, with VSAM files, with sequential files, just contact us. You see the email address of Michal here at the bottom of the slide. And after this, we can also make an installation of the software in your data center, but for testing it on your environment. And we can then, if you want, also conduct a proof of value in collaboration with our pre-sales and professional services team. And then we can create also a business case for you so that you can see what are the impacts of the optimization to your business. And after this, can go live with JOPAZ in your environment. So these are the next steps. We would like it, and we would enjoy it if you will contact Michal and us. And yeah, that's it, I think, for today. Some closing words, Michal, from your side?
Thank you so much. Looking forward to speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.